What's up, you guys? Thanks for joining me again. This is day 4 of me making a video and trying to get a little bit better at my presentation skills. I am back here at the wall of tools, and today I was rushing out the door, realized I hadn't done my habit, and tried to come up with something real quick on the fly that I think was kind of interesting, and ultimately was like a diversion for me for a week and a half before I felt like I came to a good conclusion. And the question at hand is caulk guns. Ha ha ha, insert joke, right? But here I have a standard dripless manual caulk gun, right? And I have the electric caulk gun. Here, let me slide this puppy in so you can see how it works. So first, let's talk about this one because there's a lot more going on, a lot more features. And then I'll give you my conclusion. So first things first, this is I think they call it the adhesive gun, but we all know what it is, by DeWalt. Yeah, I guess you could use it for glue and other things like that. They have a couple different sizes. And I will say it's honestly pretty well designed. Like this front part fully swivels. It's got the little punch on it here. It's got a manual release here with this big chunky handle. So the top one's a manual release. And you can push it forward or back, right? It's real smooth, like it's obviously really well made, and honestly not that heavy. I wouldn't put a giant battery on it, but yeah, honestly not that heavy. And then, here, well, this just controls speed, so it's not that much. But I have it all the way down on 1. Cool, and then down here, this bottom trigger right here, this is the actual go button right here. All right, so I'll turn it up a little bit just so you can see it move faster on video. But yeah, you can see like that. And then watch, as soon as I let go of the trigger, you'll see this back out motion. You see that, how it backs out? So they say it's anti-drip, and it's that push, 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 and then as soon as you let go of the trigger, it backs off a little bit to kind of create that dripless effect that we all know. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks a drip gun is better than a dripless gun. I don't know, maybe some really old school people. But yeah, it works really well. It's super easy. Here, I'll put a clean of caulk in it, just so you can kind of see what's going on. And by no stretch of the imagination am I some caulking aficionado. I truly am just a weekend warrior who's trying to get better at it. You can see, right? Like that's all it is. You got the free swivel. You can get it just right. This whole housing comes off, and I believe it can accommodate a bigger tube too if you want, the real fat sausage ones. Okay, and then so we've got that, and then I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but we've got what is probably the $5 Home Depot HDX. Comes with a spout cutter. This is a dripless gun, so similar action, right? If you once you push it, you let go all the way, it does back off a little bit. And that's, again, to create that dripless effect. The spout cutter is kind of cool, and that is something that the electric gun does not have. Okay. Now, in terms of conclusion here, which one would I use? To be honest, this one. I'd say probably for 99% of applications, this would be the better tool. First things first, weight. This is well done. I think it's only a couple pounds. So it's definitely not overly heavy, but it is much heavier compared to this thing here. And I just think that weight matters quite a bit, right? Especially when you're holding and you've got you've got a little bit of weight at the tip of your gun here. It's tweaking your wrist. That lower weight definitely makes a difference. Second thing for me is the dripless feature. I don't know why. And I have to try with a few different types of caulk. But for some reason, this dripless feature just doesn't quite work well for me. I see it back out. I get mechanically what it's trying to do, but the caulk just keeps coming. And for this, and with this, Home Depot HDX one, I haven't had that problem. And so it's probably operator error, but for me, this just, I push it, I let go, it doesn't drip, it works. I mean, nothing's perfect, but you get it, it works. I don't really use the spout cutter. I feel like I need a little more precision in my cutting, and I just like to use a utility knife, so for me that's actually not a plus. Although I guess in a pinch it would work. So other thing, obviously the expense. This just is, I don't recall what this retails for, but it ain't $5 or $10, right? I mean, it's a full-blown tool. When would I use this? That's a really good question. For me, if you have something that's really thick and you're using a lot of material. So like I'm trying to think, if I were truly laying down adhesive, right? And you got to kind of use you're like squirt, 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 and you're making big S's on like a panel and you want to put the adhesive down. Like that's just tiring on your arm after a while and your hand, and eventually it just gets tiring and you're not precise because you're just focused on cranking that handle. This would be nice because it's really doing the work for you and you can just focus on getting that smooth motion. So for that, I think it would be really handy. Anything that's just real thick and requires a bit more strength, to do that, it can get hard. When you're caulking, you're really just throwing down such a thin bead anyway. Typically, you can get quite a few linear feet before you have to expand the handle and go again. And so for that reason, like I just don't think the automated go is really doing that much for you here, but the extra weight definitely is. You're losing a little bit of control. Yeah, so I think it's a cool tool. To me, this is kind of like a right angle drill. Like when you need it, it is just so clutch, but most of the time you don't need it. Most of the time, the one that everyone else uses is just gonna be just what the doctor ordered. But as you guys know, with tools, like you have one specialty project, and then you end up buying the tool because it makes that project a lot easier, and then you have it forever and ever. And I feel like that's kind of how this one is. I bought it for a specialty project, used it, tried it for caulking, whatever, and now I have both. And so it's just nice to have another tool in the tool belt, but at the end of the day, it's probably not what I would use. Especially because I'm not caulking an entire house, right? Like my house is done, so I may miss a spot here or there or replace this piece of trim, and that's when I'd use a board. I suppose if I were caulking an entire house, something like this, again, just to save on my hand, probably would be nice, but yeah. Cool product, kind of fun. I would say it's probably one of the less useful tools in my arsenal, but always fun to have something new and to try it out. And so yeah, hopefully this provided a little information. If you are thinking about the adhesive gun or an electric caulk gun, I will say I have not tried like a Bosch or a Milwaukee tool version of this, so I can't tell you how useful or not useful those are relatively. They do look pretty similar, so I doubt your experience will be, night and day. But if you have had a different experience, and you think that that's BS and actually we should be using the Bosch gun, please let me know. I definitely would love to try it out and see if I can find value there. So thanks for the impromptu video, guys. I definitely floundered just a little bit, but I appreciate you bearing with me here. And yeah, so let me know if you got any ideas for things that you'd like to see, whether it's kind of house, home, garage related. I'm trying to stick to that theme. But yeah, always looking for great topics that I can do a little research on and share what I learned. So without further ado, thanks, and see you tomorrow.